Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias. This is going to be part of a series, and it's going to be basically a few of my favorite things, and these are some of my favorite knives. And in this case, it's going to be knives that I have that are over $100. Some of them closer to $200. And are not necessarily easy to find. One of them is really not at all easy to find because it was made specifically for a wedding, and I just happened to get a spare, and that is this one right here. In any case, so what I have here are 5 knives, and these are 5 of my favorite knives. In the area that I would consider high-end, but a lot of other people consider mid-range, because for some people $100 to $200 is a drop in the bucket. For me, not at all a drop in the bucket. In any case, we'll start with the one that I mentioned first, and this is the Scando that was given to me by Eric from Slick Slicers, and this is definitely one of my treasures. It is made with I believe he said it was '02 tool steel. It might have been '01, but just a wonderful knife with wonderful stag handles. See the brass pins going on there, and this is a real Scando, the way they're supposed to be made. This is not one of the tourist hat kind of things. For example, I just got to do this. Here is one of the ones you will often find on eBay, and this is one of the better ones you find on eBay. And to be honest, it doesn't look that bad, really. They go for about $15 to $20. Like I said, this is the more expensive one. There's another one that goes for like around $10, and you can see the difference between them even online. Now this one has what they call a jewel on the top, a blue jewel on the top. It comes in green and orange and amber and everything else. And they basically, well, this one fell off a long time ago. I'm holding it in place right now with a little piece of tape. This one has the symbol on both sides. The less expensive one only has it on one side. And here's the blade that comes with it, and you will see right away China. They're usually made in either China or Pakistan. And this is the Scando that you will usually find online for the $15 or $20. And this one has a bit of an edge on it too. And yeah, it only goes in one way, even though it looks like it would go in both ways. So that's one of them. And this is one that would be more or less made for the tourist trade. Another one I have that is this was one by Right Edge. They don't even call it, they sometimes will refer to it as a Scando. They'll also call it a Scottish dirk and so on and so forth. And that's the way this one looks. It's got some good lines on it. I like it because it's in white smooth bone, but it doesn't have the little file work up here, which it should have. And it's pretty big for the sock, you know, to wear in your sock. Pretty heavy knife too, and pretty big considering the size difference here. You can see the difference. Another knife that they pass off as a Scando. What you would have to do also is probably cut off the top part of the sheath if you were going to actually be wearing this in a sock. But in any case, that's usually what you see online as a Scando, unless you get into the $100 range, and then you start seeing things like this. And they tend to be smaller and everything else. So that's what I really like about this. This, you know, first of all, it was gifted to me by Eric, a dear friend who I have never met. So this will always be something I cherish. And it's just, you know, for me, I can look at this and say, yes, this is a genuine Scando. This was made for a Scotsman, and he accepted it as a Scando. These other things, not so much. So that's what I really like about this. I believe it was made in Sheffield, England, but still a real Scando. So that's pretty cool to me, and that's one of the knives that is one of my favorites, and it's one of the knives I cherish. Another knife, I'll get the other fixed blade out of the way, is the office knife here, or actually the desk knife. And as you can see, I actually have it knife chats with Tobias. This became basically the unofficial knife for the channel, my office knife or desk knife by W.R. Case & Son. Has a good steel going on in it. If you can see there, 154 cm, white smooth bone, something I really like, and it's just a wonderful shape going on with it. A Tony Bowes design. He's the one who came up with the desk knife, and it's pretty much a very old design. It goes way back in time. A knife that was actually used also in England and such. So pretty cool knife. Definitely an interesting knife. It's designed to be laying on your desk. It's something you can use, and I have used it occasionally for opening letters and stuff like that. So that's another one of my favorite knives, my Tony Bowes design W.R. Case & Son desk knife. Now, we know what happened recently here. This is a knife that an anonymous subscriber gifted to me. He actually went to a website and ordered this knife for me. It is a genuine Leguil, made by Forge de Leguil in Leguil, France, and he bought it for me, and it's just a beautiful knife. I just recently did the entire video on this. I'll be talking more about it in the future again, I'm sure, but just the situation behind this knife and the beauty of it, the fact that it is in white smooth bone, one of my favorite materials. It's got the peasant cross, and it's just a wonderful Leguil knife. Everything about this knife. And this knife basically became an instant favorite as soon as it showed up. This was gifted to me by an anonymous YouTube subscriber on my channel. And it is from Forge de Leguil, a company in France that, in actual Leguil, France, that makes Leguil knives. And this is my first genuine Leguil out of Leguil, France. And the person knew what they were buying because, well, white smooth bone, it's got the peasant cross, it is a powder horn frame knife, and it's something that I thought I would never actually own simply because of the price of the knife. But someone was so kind and generous enough to actually give one to me. So hard not to say that becomes almost an instant favorite here. Let me clean off the blade. There's such a beautiful blade on here, and everything about it, you got the beautiful file work going along there, and that's not done in a factory, that is done by hand. And you got the bone, such a wonderful fit on everything, and a beautiful shine to that blade. We're talking mirror polish. And good action. Don't want to slam the blade closed. Really nice knife. Beauty. So that was like an almost instant favorite going on there with my Leguil. And yeah, I have looked at the catalog, and I am drooling over 2 other knives in the catalog. So will I be saving up for them? I think so. It's one of those things. Once you get one, sometimes you feel like you just need to get another. That's like the legend of the white elephant. It's a gift that somebody gives you that ends up costing you more money than the original gift would have been. But in this case, it's still a very happy white elephant. I'm so happy to have this knife, and I'm so happy to have been clued in to just what you get in a genuine Leguil knife. Are they for everyone? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not everyone can afford something like that. Does it take away from the less expensive Leguils? What I will do one day is I will actually do a comparison video of some of the other Leguils I have that are not true Leguils, but are marketed as Leguils, and show you the difference between them. But ultimately, it comes down to you, the person who's buying the knife, to determine if that remarkable jump in price is worth what you're getting or not. And for some people, the answer is going to be no, it's not really worth that much of a difference for a knife that I'm going to throw in my pocket and carry. Both of them are going to peel the apple. And honestly, I can truly say that both of these knives are going to peel the apple, but which one is going to peel the apple with more elegance? And is it worth that price? And that is always something that is between you and your conscience, and we all have different feelings on is that higher end knife worth the price you're paying? Right now, this knife costs me nothing, and is just an absolutely stunning, beautiful knife that I would have never bought, but now it is leading me down that road where I definitely want to have another one. And at this point, that price tag is not as insurmountable as it was before. At one time in my life, there would have been no way I could have ever afforded a knife like this. Right now, I can more or less afford a knife like that. But a few years back, this is really what I could afford, and I really love this knife too. So we'll talk more about that later, but I just wanted to point that out. Now, this next one is one of 9 Great Eastern knives I have, and I will probably never buy another Great Eastern knife unless something changes in the way that they are being produced recently, because basically by the time they become available, they're sold out before I can even attempt to buy them, and the prices on the secondary market are just astronomical, and I'm not willing to pay that kind of money. Basically, the knife that cost $129 on the day that it was released by Great Eastern through one of its distributors, the very next day it's over $200, and that's just, that's almost criminal. But that's the way it is. I mean, that's the way the knife market is. People are willing to pay that, and I'm not one of them that is. Some people just definitely need to have that knife. This was one that I'm very fortunate to have gotten, and I'm very happy to have, and that is the Allegheny and the Beaver Tail series. I really like the Beaver Tail shield on here, and I also really like the Beaver Tail blade edge that goes with it. Let's see there. There we go. Beaver Tail. You see there, Titty cutlery, made in USA, and Great Eastern cutlery there, and then it's got the 3 P's on the back, so Premier Pattern Production Run, something like that. If you can see it there, PPP. So this is one of the first ones that came out. Got the long pull, wonderful swedge, and a nice drop on there, good kick. Everything about this knife I really like. I like the wood handle that is used. I think it's some kind of cherry wood or something. Very nice jig cherry wood, I think is what it is. Brass pins, and it's just like the second or third Great Eastern knife that I bought, and it still remains my favorite. There's another one I like quite a bit too. Actually, I like all of the ones I have. I had one of them gifted to me. I will talk about that in the near future, where I talk about 5 knives that were gifted to me that are definitely my favorites. 5 favorite gifts. So you'll see this one and this one again, because they are also gifted to me. But this was just a beautiful knife. I'm glad I got it, but I'm not crazy about the way Great Eastern is doing its selling now. And seemed to happen around the time of COVID, and maybe they will get back to being able to produce more in the near future, and the knives will not be so difficult to come by. But as it is, one of 9 Great Eastern cutlery knives that I have, and this is one of those frames that I really like a lot, the Coke bottle. And this is by far my favorite Great Eastern knife. And again, it's one that's over $100, a lot more now than when I first got it. Now, this next knife is probably the most expensive currently produced Victorinox knife that I have picked up. And I picked it up because it basically fell into numerous categories. First of all, it's a picnic knife. It's also could be considered a bartender knife. The knife itself is known as the Wine Master, and it's 130 millimeters, so it's a frame size that I did not have from Victorinox, and it's also an olive wood. So it was a Victorinox 130 millimeter knife. That was one big selling point for it. It has olive wood covers or scales, and that was another big selling point for it. And it also fell into the picnic family knife and also the bartender family knife. So it covered many bases, and that's one of the reasons I was able to justify purchasing this knife. It has a really good corkscrew on the back that works really well. Here's the cap lifter also. So it does have a cap lifter kind of hidden in there. It was designed by a world famous wine expert who knew what he was talking about and was looking for something that he could bring out when picnicking, and that is a proper tool for removing a cork from a bottle of wine. Also has a wonderful long blade that is very functional and very useful, and it locks. So the blade locks, so you don't have to worry about anything if you're going to be, cutting cheese, cutting up sausage, or anything else. You could actually use this to field strip an animal if you wanted to. There's the liner lock going across there. You're wondering how you close it. Well, you could reach in there and do it with your hand, or you could just push the button and release that and close it up. So the shield actually acts as the button release for the liner lock there. And finally, you have a little gut hook here, a little serrated gut hook, and that is actually there for opening the wine bottle, cutting off the foil on a champagne bottle, or cutting any kind of wrapper around the edge of the bottles. So it's pretty cool. Also useful for cutting open packages and stuff like that. And your typical key ring that you have on a Swiss Army knife. So everything about this knife just said, I gotta have it. The fact that it fits so many categories really helped out when I started looking at the price, because this was not an inexpensive knife. But it was also something you just don't see that often. Now, a lot of people are not into bartender knives, they're not into picnic knives, but I am, so that was another big selling point for me. And it's on the 130 millimeter frame, and Victorinox just isn't making that many knives on the 130 millimeter frame anymore. This one is still in production though, so that's fortunate for me. But there you have it. Oh, and it also came with a nice little leather pouch. Victorinox Wine Master. Any case, there's 5 of my favorite more expensive knives. I think the next time I do this, I'm going to go with 5 of my favorite knives that fall, let's go really radical. 5 of my favorite knives that I got for under $15. I think that's what I'm going to do next time. You can't go any more extreme than that. All the way down to an under $15 knife that I just really enjoy. That'll be the next time. Let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with the Pious. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.